Hello and welcome back to Chats with Nat, creating a life you love to live. I'm Natal'e Nostra, and today is all about starting to live and stop existing. I see a lot of people all the time who are just kind of existing from day to day and responding and reacting to what life and what the world throws their way without really planning, organizing, and creating a life that they're absolutely in love with. It all really starts with figuring out what makes you happy. And I think there's a lot of people that still don't know what makes them happy because they haven't spent enough time getting to know themselves and really understanding what their values are. Because your happiness really derives from the fulfillment of your values. So, when the values, the things that are important to you, when you've achieved them and you have an abundance of them, you experience happiness. So, for example, my values definitely start with my family. My children are the most important people in the whole wide world to me. When they're happy and healthy, I'm much, much more happy and healthy as well. My career is very important to me and my productive endeavors. They're a reflection, I feel, of myself and my success. It speaks for itself. So if I'm not really accomplishing anything, I feel like with my time, I'm not being very mindful. I'm not being productive and using the gifts that God's given me. So being productive is very valuable to me. Also, being healthy is very valuable to me. I spend a lot of time at the gym. I eat healthy. I don't drink very much. I don't use drugs. I don't smoke. All those things keep me in a good physical place, which when I'm not focused on ailments and I'm feeling very good and I have a lot of energy and I'm sleeping well and I'm eating well and my body's nourished and taken care of, I'm much more focused on more important things like my projects and my personal development. So to me, wellness is a big value of mine. Excuse me. Peace is very important, making sure that you have your quiet time and making sure that you're centered and still with yourself. When people are anxious and wound up, they don't tend to be very happy and they don't tend to be very productive. Also, knowledge I think is really important. Our culture, I think, really lacks an understanding of knowledge. We think once we get through high school or once we get through college that we're very knowledgeable or very wise, when in reality, that's all very basic information. And the majority of what you'll learn in school, you won't even use in your real life. So it's important to seek knowledge outside of your traditional education so that you're constantly sharpening the sword and developing new skills and new talents and new abilities to continuously overcome the challenges and the adversities that are going to arise in your life. If you just stop once you get out of school, you never pick up really new tools to solve the problems that you're going to have moving forward. So there can be a lot of other values, but I think a lot of them really revolve around family, around happiness, around peace, around prosperity, around knowledge, around health and wellness. There may be other ones for you, but I would definitely say sit down and spend some time figuring out what really makes you happy. Not really the superficial things, like I love to go get my nails done and get my hair done. That feels great. I love to go shopping, buy new shoes, but that's not really what makes me happy as a woman or as an individual. They're just nice things that I just like to have because I do. But they're superficial and they're not real. So spend some time figuring out what really makes you happy. Identify if you're having issues with that. There are certain things that are lacking. Are you lacking financially? Are you lacking from a health and wellness standpoint? Are you lacking in your relationships? Where are you not being fulfilled? And take some time to identify maybe the reasons why you're not getting what you want from those things and why your values are not fulfilled for you at this point in time, which would lead to why you're not completely happy with your life yet. So if you can identify the places where you're lacking, your values are not really being fulfilled, then you can start to solve some of those problems and definitely be a lot closer to your happiness. It's really important to really minimize time that we spend doing things that are not valuable to us. We don't, I think, spend enough time paying attention to what we're doing that's not helping us. For example, your TV time is probably not helping you. The time that you're watching programming, which is called programming for a reason, you're not being productive, you're not moving closer towards your goals, and you're actually losing time. In my world, time is money. I don't know if we live in the same world, but I think probably in yours, time is also money for you, whether or not you realize that. And all the time that you spend wasting in front of a television screen is time that you're not going to be able to get back, where you could really be pursuing other things or working on your relationships or working on your fitness or working on those values that we talked about that maybe you're not so happy with. I think that we have to make sure that we're being very accountable and looking at our time and owning where we're wasting it, and then really focusing on using that time more wisely. When you're watching TV, you're not increasing your abundance, you're not doing anything positive for your health, you're not doing probably much for your knowledge. Most of the things that are on TV are not very educational. Now you might find some program on there at some point that gives you something that's useful, but 9 times out of 10 you don't. So my challenge to you for this week is to cut back on your TV time. Also, figure out what your passions are. I personally believe in a higher power that I call God. That may or may not be his name, but that's just what I know him by. You may call him Allah or Yahweh or Jah or Source or energy, whatever you call what we are all divinely connected to. You've been given unique gifts. Every single person has unique gifts that only they possess. And it's when we're utilizing those gifts that we really come alive. So for me, that's in the arts. I love music. I love dance. I love theater. I love being creative. I love painting. I love drawing. I love writing. I love communication. I'm very passionate about communication. When I'm doing those things, I light up like a Christmas tree, and everybody can see that. What are you passionate about? When you were a little kid, what did you love doing? Or what did you really want to be when you grew up that you kind of let that die a little bit when you became an adult? Bring that back. Go follow that again. It's not over. That was that unique gift that you were given, and you need to pursue that in some way, shape, or form. Now, I know when you're an adult, your time is very limited, and I understand that. I went out, I bought a paint set, and I paint in my free time. And it's wonderful. I love it, and I'm not putting it in an art gallery, or I'm not going to be any Picasso, but I'm still using those gifts and skills that I have, and it makes me very happy. So go out there and figure out what makes you happy, whether it's art or music or drawing or what else do people love? I don't know, engineering. Some people are really into that. Whatever it is that really makes you feel happy, start doing that again, and you're going to find a lot of happiness in that. Be responsible and accountable for your own happiness. I talk to a lot of people who are unhappy, and they are always blaming someone else for their unhappiness. No one can make you unhappy without your consent. And what I mean by that is you have to engage in someone else's negativity in order for them to really affect you. If you refuse to engage in the negativity, you can't be sucked into it, and it can't steal your joy. So, for example, there's one person in my life who has consistently started a lot of arguments with me. So many arguments. I don't want to argue anymore. But what I've learned to do is just not engage with that person. So when they start an argument with me, I remain 100% logical. I don't get emotionally involved. I don't allow myself to respond emotionally, but I stay very logical and I stay very clear and very factual. And this person has definitely decreased the amount of negativity that they put my way. when you take responsibility and accountability for your own happiness, you take away other people's power to make you unhappy. So you're not a victim of your circumstances. Your circumstances are a reflection of you. Your attitude and your behavior is what has created the reality that you're living in now. Now, that can be a very empowering thing, or it can be a very disappointing thing, depending on what your reality is. If you're very unhappy with a lot of the things in your life, you need to take a good hard look at your decisions. If your decisions have put you into a life that you're very unhappy with, it's time for you to start making some changes, and also kind of taking a look at why you made the decisions that you made. Is there some trauma there? Is there some ignorance there? I'm not afraid to say that I've made a lot of poor decisions, a lot. And if you know me personally, you know I've made probably more than anybody. But what I've done is I've really looked at those and said, well, what motivated me to make this very bad decision? And find out what's behind that. Because once you figure out the event or the trauma or the scar that maybe it gets touched a little bit and we respond a certain way, once you figure out the motivation behind the behavior, you can start to change it. But it's important to really spend that time in self-reflection to figure out why we make the bad decisions that we make, so that we can move forward and make better decisions. The life that you're living is the sum total of your activities and how you spend your time. This is especially true financially. I talk to a lot of people who are not in the financial place that they want to be at. And I think most people strive to be in a better financial position, whether they make $20,000 a year or $200,000 a year. I think most of us are always looking to grow in that specific area. But if you don't have enough, which is a very bad thing, it creates a lot of stress in our life, and stress is very bad for your body. It's very bad for your mind. It's very bad for your spirit. It stunts your personal growth when you're stressed out. So making sure that you have enough resources to take care of yourself and take care of your family is very important. Although I don't think that money itself is very valuable. I think that family and relationships are. I do feel that you have to have enough money to cover your needs in order for you to be able to even be thinking about being your best self. So if you're always stressed out about money, you're not going to be thinking about ways to improve yourself from a personal standpoint, because you're always going to be fixated on where is the money going to come from for what it is that you need. But a lot of people that I know that are not in the financial situation that they want to be in are not spending their time very wisely. They're spending way too much time on Facebook. They're spending way too much time on Twitter books and Insta snaps and whatever else these kids out here are doing these days. They're spending too much time in front of the TV. They're spending too much time in the bar. Spending too much time in the club. And then they're wondering why their life isn't moving forward at the rate that they want it to. Well, if you're only working a 9 to 5 or just a regular job, guess what? So is everyone else. If you want to get ahead and you want more than what's average, then you need to put in more work. I work a 9 to 5. It's more like an 8 to 6, but I do that 5 days a week. And then normally from probably another 15 or 20 hours a week, I'm also working on my own personal endeavors, because I don't want to always have to work a 9 to 5. I'd like to be my own boss. But for some people, it might just be that they want to have a little bit extra money to take the kids on vacation. Then you've got to put in that extra work, and you've really got to look at how you're spending your time. Because if you're just coming home from work, sitting on the couch, getting something to eat, watching TV, going to sleep, and getting up and doing it the next day, you're not living. You're not following those dreams, those passions. You're not utilizing those gifts that God gave you to share with the world. You're just existing. You're responding to what life gives you instead of going out there and taking what you want and creating what you want. Because as a human being, you're a marvelous and miraculous creature. and you have the ability to manifest whatever you want in your life if you just take the time to really think about what you want, to make the sacrifices and the changes that you need to make in order to achieve those things, and the drive to see it through to the end. You can create a life that you love to live. We all can. And I hope that you will get started on that journey. And this week, you will take a good hard look at how you're spending your time. And are you just existing, or are you living? Are you really getting out there and sharing those passions and those dreams with the world? Or are you just taking what life hands you instead of going out there and creating exactly what you want? So if you enjoyed this, please continue to tune in with Chats with Nat. We will also be live on January 24th at the Adams Mark Hotel for the MAP conference. You can get your tickets on Eventbrite. They, I believe, are still on early bird special for $45. It is going to be a conference you do not want to miss. Thank you again for tuning in, and I will see you soon. Good